It says there, I will not let you go unless you bless me. This wasn't Jacob dictating terms to God as he had in previous occasions. We've got to remember that. Here God overcame Jacob, and Jacob sought his blessing, perhaps in pain and in tears. He knew he was defeated, yet he desperately wanted to be blessed by this greater wrestler. It's an interesting picture, isn't it? It's an interesting picture. But we know from his history, I mean, he took his brother's heel in the womb when he was born, and he had this strength, and he struggled with God, and he struggled with angels. He wept, and he cried, and sought favour. He found him at Bethel, and there God spoke to him. It was the Lord of hosts, and the Lord is the name that he gave him. But when he says, unless you bless me, through his past, Jacob had always been clever and sneaky enough so that he never felt he had to trust in God alone. Now he could only rely on a blessing from God. As I said before, that's a great place to be. It's a fabulous place to be, even if it is humbling. Jacob was reduced to the place where all he could do was hold on to the Lord with everything he had. Jacob could not fight anymore. All he could do was hold on. As I said, not a bad place to be. Not a bad place to be. May be painful, may have long-term consequences. Jacob didn't realize this, but this would lead to the answer of his previous prayer for protection. That's way back in the previous passage we looked at. Before Jacob could be delivered from the hand of his brother, he had to be delivered from his own self-will and self-reliance. It is evident that as soon as he felt that he must fall, he grasped the other man with a kind of death grip and wouldn't let him go. Now in his weakness, he will prevail. While he was so strong, he won not the blessing, but when he became utterly weak, then he was blessed. Jacob thought the real enemy was outside of him, perhaps Esau, circumstances, whatever. The real enemy was his self, his fleshly nature, which had not been at that stage conquered by God, but now was defeated. God's reaction is really, really interesting. Verses 27 to 29, God does something really weird. It says this, so he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. I think he must have been perplexed because he probably already knew that. And he said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed. And Jacob asked, saying, tell me your name, I pray. And he said, why is it that you ask about my name? And he blessed him there. What a conclusion to a wrestling match. God reveals himself. When we wrestle, are we willing for God to reveal himself to us? Pleasure.